Greetings to everyone world over, all our brothers and sisters across the globe. Wherever you are, we extend a very warm welcome to each one of you. You're so precious to us. You're such a treasure to us because you're contributing a lot to the humanity, to the human beings, and particularly all our brothers and sisters, the non-resident Indians, those have gone far shore, different places in different countries. They bring so much of proud to India. We are celebrating 75 years of India's independence. This week is totally dedicated to that. And today, with Dr. Priya Vishweshwaranji, we are going to take on wellness in education. And she also used a term earlier, teacher as a coach. Coach is not separate, and she used a beautiful word called teacher coach. So, future teacher coach, what kind of a coach we require, what kind of a coach we are preparing, how India can export its teachers, those can give the fragrance world over, and Bharat Punaha Vishwaguru. So with these words, ladies and gentlemen, today is also a very important day in India. It's a National Handloom Day. If you recall, it was chosen as a National Handloom Day to to commemorate the Swadeshi movement. That means your own clothes, your own cotton, and stitch it, weave in, whatever you want to do. National handloom, the fabric, that is something very important. So, as a part of 75-year celebrations, when we talk about this is something very important from our chamber, where during the entire pandemic and the post-pandemic, we are going ahead with making education relevant, making education and skills relevant, how wellness is more important than the pure academics or subjects experts. So, ladies and gentlemen, whatever your mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Let's come together. Let's make education and skills relevant. And in that process, Dr. Priya Vishweshwaran ma'am, for quite some time, she's giving such a valuable inputs that every time she comes with something new, totally dedicated, how we can help Indian teachers, how teachers got to be multitasking, multi-skilled, multi-competencies, all that whatsoever has to be done, and how wellness is more important than pure taking allopathic medicines. Thereby, ladies and gentlemen, let's work on to preparing global teachers. And in this journey, join me in extending a very warm welcome this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you are world over, to Dr. Priya Vishweshwaran ma'am. Hearty welcome to you, ma'am. It's such a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you very much for joining us. And vanakkam and namaskaran.
Thank you. Vanakkam and namaskaram, sir. Thank you so much for your wonderful, warm welcome and those very, very kind words. I'm so grateful to you. I bow to you. I do namaskarams to you for leading the way, for showing us the light, for embracing all of us as brothers and sisters and carrying us, lifting us along with you up. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being the leading light for our country, for all our young brothers and sisters, and for blazing a trail towards a much brighter, better future for India and for all of the rest of the world. Because when India produces teacher coaches, the entire rest of the world's education is going to improve, because Indian teachers, as Dr. Vis was mentioning, are the world's greatest teachers. They're highly revered all over the world, in the Middle East and Africa, in the United States. So many of our bright students get teaching awards in every field here and in the South America and other Spanish-speaking countries. So we're very, very lucky and blessed to have our heritage and culture. And we're so lucky and blessed to have you lead the way for our teachers into the future to become teacher coaches. So I'm actually traveling to Houston, which is actually my hometown where I've lived for the last 28 years. And just about 5-6 months ago, I moved to California. I'm here for a personal family matter. So I don't have my usual presentations on teacher coaches. But there is something I want to share with all of you today. And thank you very much, Gulshan ji and Chitra ji, for the opportunity to present to all of our brothers and sisters in India and everybody else. What I would like to share is very eye-opening on so many levels that it gives me great pleasure and joy, and I would like to share this with the greatest of humility and respect with our brothers and sisters in India. It's not exactly the topic that we're talking about, but it is completely connected and related in every single way to our topic. And then I want to share with you, Gulshanji, last week we talked about how we are recommending to some great people in this world who own and control all of the gold and the diamonds and the, all those things on the basis of which currency is valued, to launch a global currency that will take into account the creativity, the ingenuity of the people of that country, things that cannot be stolen, cannot be looted, cannot be plundered, cannot be lifted as spoils of war, so that there will be a resulting world peace, and war will not be funded, and it will not be who's the one who can loot the most that becomes the leader of the world, which is actually been how it has been for the last 500 years or more. And so I've initiated those requests and those conversations. Maybe they will take some action on it. I don't know. Maybe they've already had their own ideas independently of me. So this is not about anything I'm suggesting. But when you see this, you will understand on what basis I'm making that claim for India. Okay. So I'm looking forward to sharing this now with you.
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
It's a video. It's done by a young man by the name of Praveen Mohan, who I think is an NRI from US. He has returned to India, and this is a secular presentation. So the reason I'm sharing this, it is about temples of India. So the reason I'm sharing it is not because it's about a Hindu or a religion or a temple or anything. All religions are equally valid paths to God. We don't believe in something is superior, something is inferior. I mean, I can speak for myself when I say I do believe in God, and I think each person has their own path, whichever one works best for them. They are welcome to choose it. And this is, so I would request you most humbly and respectfully to take this presentation in a secular way and not to think of this as some sort of Hindu propaganda or anything like that. Thank you so much. Yeah. A little bit of, oh dear, hold on just a second. This was the one I was...
Take your time, ma'am. Take your time.
Yeah. Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, this series,
I'm
yes.
going to be...
Sorry.
Please
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead,
Please
sir.
go ahead. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I'm sorry, I have a bit of a computer issue. Just one second.
Yes. In this video, I'm going to decode some strange information about ancient technology. I have been researching this quietly for many years and gathering this data from several ancient temples of India. Let's take a look at this carving. What do you see? Two spectacularly intertwined snakes to create a mystical association of masculine and feminine energy, right? Now, let's also look at this carving. Again, you can see some unexplainable symbol of spirituality. What do they mean? Why are they carved in ancient temples? Did ancient builders create all these carvings merely for religious or spiritual reasons, or did they carve them for a practical, scientific purpose? What if we recreate this information? So I started to recreate these carvings physically with the help of volunteers. So I took two strings, placed them exactly as shown in the carving, and then pulled the ends. See what happened there. This is a knot, an actual knot. This is called a square knot or a reef knot today. And then it clicked. This finished knot is also carved in the next pillar in the same temple. Now, even more strange, we don't even see the carvings of the beginning and the end stages. We see step-by-step procedure of how to make this knot in carvings. What you're seeing is an ancient step-by-step manual of how to tie the square or reef knot. Today, if you want to tie a tie or a knot, you Google it and you will see 4 stages. Ancient builders of India have done the exact same thing in stone. Multiple stages are shown how the strings should be placed, how they should be twined, and how the knot is formed. All carved in pillars one by one. Now, let's go back to this carving. Initially, I described this as 2 magical nagas intertwined to represent yin-yang forces, right? So I decided to try this. We took 2 strings and we placed them exactly as shown in the carving and tightened them. And guess what? Another knot. This knot is called Carrick Bend knot. What is going on in ancient Indian temples? So I decided to take this up a notch and I found this carving of a beautiful pentagram, a 5-pointed star that's not only a sacred symbol in India, but it's also a mystical symbol around the world. But why is it carved in this temple? Then I started to notice that at the crossings, one strand is going up and another strand is going down. This means this is a 3D carving, okay? They're literally telling us to put one strand below in certain places and above in other places. Today, experts in knots call them understrand and overstrand. So I decided to replicate it. I carefully looked at the crossings and mimicked the carving. Do you think this is a knot? Yes, it is. This type of knot is called a Taurus knot or a cinquefoil. Actually, in the West, it is known as the Solomon seal. But you can see this knot has already existed in ancient India as well. I have now collected and documented these knots from more than 50 ancient temples. But now, let's go to the Vitala temple at Hampi because it has some very strange carvings. This is an insane temple with unexplainable technology like the musical pillars. Look at this carving. What do you think? That's definitely a snake's head at the top. And if you look closer, you can see 2 other snakes as well, intertwined beautifully. So again, we recreated this, and sure enough, yes, it does form a spectacular knot. This is called the chain sinnet knot. All these knots you see are actually very good and strong knots. In the same temple, we have lots of carvings showing knots. Unfortunately, many of them are now eroded, and I was not able to replicate some of them because the details are gone and we do not preserve these precious temples. Here's another one. It's very odd. I don't know if you can understand this. It is unique in many ways. It was very difficult to recreate this. We failed a couple of times. But guess what happens when we tighten it? This is another complicated knot called the clover leaf knot. If you read today's textbooks about knots, people think they invented many of these complicated knots in the last few centuries. But from these carvings, we can understand that ancient Indians were masters of these complex knots. And not only that, they were keen on passing this knowledge to their future generations using these carvings. This is priceless information because today, around the world, parents send their kids to Boy Scouts or Scouts and Guides training. They send the kids to boot camps to learn about knots. But if you tell an Indian parent to take the kids to temples, both the kid and their parents think it's a waste of time. Or it's just a place where you can go and close your eyes to worship God. But ancient temples were also designed to open your eyes, not just for spiritual information, but also technical, real-life information. Ancient Indian temples are extraordinary sources of practical information. Think about the point of view of ancient sculptors. They could have carved any of the thousands of Hindu gods, dancers, arts, but instead they chose to carve these knots because they wanted to teach their future generations a necessary life skill. But this technology, this art of teaching actual information in temples, was lost in the last few centuries. And the newer temples have become mere places of worship. And I'll show you why I say this. Look at this carving from a temple that was built in the last few centuries. What about this one? Is this a knot? I mean, it seems obvious that there are many overstrands and understrands, and this is just too complex not to be a knot. But we recreated this, and we realized it's not a knot. It's not a knot. It's just a nice design. Nothing gets tied up in this. Here's another one right next to this design. You can see the intertwined nagas. What about this one? Again, surprisingly, no, it's not a knot. And this is mind-boggling to me. In ancient Indian temples, they were teaching you step by step about how to make knots. Not one or two, but there are hundreds of different knots carved with illustrations. But this idea was lost somewhere in time, and now these carvings have become mere religious symbols. This is why the temples built in the last few centuries do not show knots. These newer temples are just poor imitations of ancient temples without understanding the concept of ancient science, technology, and art. So somewhere in the last few centuries, this knowledge was lost. And knot making is an essential life skill. And you have to be an expert in knots if you're doing construction work, if you're lifting megalithic rocks. And these knots can save your life if you're doing stuff like mountain climbing or cave diving. Okay, so you have now understood that ancient builders carved a variety of knots. But is this really advanced technology? It's time for me to show you some very advanced ancient carvings. At first sight, we are shocked by the details on this stone. There are so many weird features in this carving. There is a gear at the center. If this gear turns, it appears that the string would move like a conveyor belt mechanism. And if you look carefully, you'll find smaller gear wheels as well. And that's not the end of it. Look at this part. This is clearly a stopper, just like what we use today. And it gets more interesting because every carving you have seen so far was symmetrical. If you split in the middle, both halves looked identical. This is one of the key features of all these knots. But this one is completely different because it's not just a knot. If you split in the middle, on one side, you can see the crescent. On the other side, you can see a full circle. This half represents darkness because of the moon, and this half denotes light because of the sun. But if you look carefully below, the halves are not identical. They're inverted. This is mind-boggling. Look how these details are carved in a strange but orderly fashion. This is currently housed in the Government Museum of Chennai, and archaeologists confirm that it is in fact an ancient carving. Is it possible that this is a model of an advanced technical device? Why else would it resemble modern-day features like gears and stoppers, not to mention the insanely complicated knots? We now have a team which is currently trying to recreate this with actual gears and stopper mechanisms. But why bother? Because this is said to be the exact same pattern carved on the secret vault of Padmanabha Swami Temple. In case you did not know, in the year 2011, authorities managed to open some secret vaults in the Padmanabha Swami Temple. What they found sent shock waves around the world. They found 22 billion, yes, $22 billion worth of gold and precious gems inside. This temple, which is at least 2,000 years old, has a total of 6 different vaults, and authorities have been able to open only 5 of them. The most important vault, now referred to as Vault B, has not been opened yet. Why? Because the door is said to be locked with the same complicated Naga pattern. Today, you can go online and see various photoshopped pictures of this door, but no one has an actual photo of this door because no filming is allowed there. Even what I say is hearsay. But temple authorities claim that this type of intertwined Naga knot called Nagabandham is designed on the door of Vault B. The team, which opened all the other vaults, tried their best to open it, but gave up the effort as there are no locks, no latches, no hinges, or even cracks to pry the door open. They were bewildered at how to open the vault, as it appears to be made of solid stone, and became afraid if they try to break the door, it'll completely jam the vault, making it useless. What is interesting is that today banks have started to use a very similar technology to protect their lockers. If a person does not use the required combination and tries to force the door open, the doors will completely jam and will make it impossible to access what's inside. Is it possible that Vault B is waiting for a particular decoding technology, a particular combination that can untie this knot? Is this why authorities have not been able to open this so far? Wikipedia page mentions Vault B as the forbidden zone and estimates that what's inside this vault will be more than 50 trillion Indian rupees. That's about 700 billion US dollars. But perhaps the biggest treasure is the ancient technology of knots. Ancient Indian temples have thousands of these carvings showing valuable information, and they've all been ignored until now. What I've shown you right now is just the tip of the iceberg, and I hope this video will be a stepping stone for others to research this area more. I'm Praveen Mohan. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
What a wonderful info. I'm going to say how wellness, the topic which we have taken today, the physical wellness, the mental wellness, the environmental wellness, the spiritual wellness, the economic wellness, all kind of a wellness is required all around. And when we are talking about today's technology, look at this technical, the kind of a carving and real life information, practical information, difference between the design and the knot and the ancient science. And somewhere he mentioned whether ancient science or technology or art, and thereafter the gears and the stoppers which he talked about, and then of course the temple which he has shown, and the first phase, the gold which is being collected over there. I'm tempted next time when I visit Chennai, I must go and see Government Museum Chennai myself and spend some time over there. Julie Subba ma'am from Northeast India has posted so many comments for you, and a couple of other people, those are writing. Today, Chitra Kapoor ma'am has also joined us, and she is sending a lot of regards, and she says, wow, what an information. Education being the foundation of human development in all respects, including what Priya ma'am has given, a pleasant surprise to all of us, and how you have connected. It is a curiosity also, creativity also, it's a motor skills also, it's a cognitive skills also, and it is our value-based education also, it's a spirituality in education also. So ma'am, My
And
great
it's
salutations to you. Great
thank you,
salutations.
thank you. It's mathematics and it is science. This is the science of cryptology, of encoding technology, of technology that protects. I will tell you the story of the Ananta Padmanabha Swami temple. It is quite mind-boggling. I'm sure you are aware of this, sir, but for those of our brothers and sisters that may not know about this, this is a temple that is in Kerala. And I think this was probably, like he said, in 2011, they discovered these underground vaults that had held the gold of the kings, the Chera kings of Kerala, the Varma kings, for almost 250 to 300 years. And they had not touched it. That is, I think, until 2011 was the first Christian government elected in Kerala, and they wanted to open the vault. They opened it. $20 billion is the worth of just the weight of the gold. This, it did not include the carvings of the gold and the statues of the gold. One of them is Swami Ananta Padmanabha Swami, which is Lord Vishnu on the the snake, the Ananta Sesha, the Naga, So he's lying down and the consort is at the, pressing his feet, and with his four arms and the Brahma and the lotus from his Nabhi or navel. This statue is just mind-boggling, and it's all gold and gemstones. There are 10,000-year-old Roman coins. The Romans paid. They came, they had heavy trade with South India all over Tamil Nadu shore. In fact, my guess is the Romans are from South India, but they left 10,000, 15,000 years ago. And they learned everything from the statuary, how to make statues, all the metal work, everything from India. You can see these knots technologies that are taught in Boy Scouts. I didn't know that the knots came from India. What we don't know about the contributions of India to the world, everything from, this sitar, as you know, the sitar, all of the stringed, I'll do one on stringed instruments if you'd like. We can do that today or we can do that next time. But the variety and the magnitude of stringed instruments in India is so mind-boggling. And these instruments are what in Europe they became called zither, Zither, zither. Then that became the guitar. So the guitar comes from the sitar, and so what I was telling these people, the British royal family, younger generation was, yes, anybody can loot, anybody can steal. If you cheat, anybody can win, But the fact of the matter is, so much has been contributed by India, our country, to the world. Everything from knots to the first ships were built in South India. You know that the first ships, the first fleets of ships. Dr. Viss has been giving this talk to many marine engineering colleges in India from 15, 20 years ago when he did the research. And the thing is, it's not in the history textbooks. The history textbooks are written by those people who had more gunpowder or who had gunpowder, so obviously there's a lot of untruths here. And what we have to understand is, that's what I told them. I said the ingenuity and the creativity of India that cannot be taken out of India, that is what you should give value for in the creation of this new global currency. And when you value these carvings as the originator of the, how rocks were carried, big rocks from places. I can show you one that Praveen Mohan did on the Brihadishwara temple in Tanjavur. It is so mind-boggling. And we've visited it as children. They showed us the technology that they used to lift this giant piece of granite rock all the way to the 200 feet top of the temple. How they did it, and how big the area was around it that they had to do it. It is just the technological advances thousands of years ago was just mind-boggling. Tanjavur temple is 1,000 years old, and these temples, some of them are much older too. Like he said, the Ananta Padmanabha Swami temple is at least 2,000 years old. So there are temples, and we are lucky that some of these temples got left behind. They were not all crushed and pulverized into the ground like in the north, where they were all done. So what we have to understand is there is mathematics here, the symmetry of it. It's like column, the column drawings are also like knots. You have the mathematics of the design of it, then the science of it. If that is on the door of the Ananta Padmanabha Swami temple, then it is a mechanism by which that stone door is being held in place without hinges, without locks, without anything. and something that if you push somewhere, that thing is going to swing open. So, but it's nothing that they're afraid that if they don't know how to decode it and do it correctly, and there they're estimating just the gold alone will be 700 billion. So this is how they protected the gold and the diamonds and the jewels from the invaders. But that was not why they did it. When the king first put it into the vaults, I think he had been through a very bad personal period. If I remember correctly, it was some possible death of a child, or maybe the child actually died. I'm not sure. Something terrible happened to the king. And he said, all this money is yours, God. I'm only ruling in your name. But, the money is not what we need. We need your blessings. And so I return all the money to you, and I will rule in your name with your energy. So this is only a good and a great king can do that. Anybody can come and throw gunpowder, more gunpowder at somebody else and loot the Kohinoor and all these things. You don't need to be great to be doing that. If you're a cheat, you're a crook, you're a thug, anybody can do that. I'm not pointing fingers or casting aspersions on anybody. I'm just saying how we choose to conduct ourselves so that future generations can talk about us with pride and with respect and reverence. And I would talk about a king who put away all his gold in a vault for the God's good. And as it happened, none of the people who were in charge of that temple, all those generations of Hindus, nobody told the British, nobody told the Dutch, nobody told the French, nobody stole it for themselves. Only it can happen in India, as my mother says. Only in India such a thing can happen, that you can have $20 billion of gold there and nobody will touch it because it is God's money. And the greatness of the culture that it is like that, the greatness of the traditions that it is like that, so not opening it, leaving it like it is, and just understanding that the technology they had was far more advanced than what we can do. Even today, we don't have the skills to create that kind of a thing. We have metal doors and locks in these big lockers of the banks and so on and so forth. But this was created at a time when all those technologies supposedly did not exist, but I think they were better technologies that were destroyed. But what did they do that made us forget that? How were we made to forget those things? How were we made to give up those things? We cannot even believe those things. Today, do we have the ingenuity and the creativity to come up with those kinds of locking technologies? So I would encourage us to embrace our curiosity, our wonder and awe, and understand that if a king can give up all his wealth and work as a servant of God, we can give up all those ambitions for the where we want to be rich. We want to be like Akshay Kumar, taking his 4 fellow actresses as sisters, buying them Hyderabadi pearls in Hyderabad and saris in Ahmedabad. What is so beautiful to see that. But what we do is we say, okay, we will be Akshay Kumar a little later. Right now, we dedicate our bodies to maybe coming up with a cryptology sequence, maybe doing something that consumes us with wonder, awe and curiosity. And the sky is not even the limit for what our brothers and sisters in India can create. The sky is not even the limit. So and that is something that my parents have unfailingly believed in for 30 years that we have lived in the United States. They have always given that courage to all of our young brothers and sisters here from India. They have always maintained the respect and reverence of Mother India and of science and technology of Mother India and mathematics and the prowess in all these areas. I would love to hear some of the comments. Gulshanji, if our young brothers and sisters, they're asking any questions, I would love to answer. And I'm so grateful that you liked it and that you watched it, and it is so enjoyable. Mr. Praveen Mohan has made a lot of videos like this. I've seen many of his videos. And they are quite mind-boggling. I will share maybe 1 or 2 more as time goes by, because there are some that should not be missed no matter what. Yeah.
Very kind of you. Very kind of you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Absolutely.
People are writing awesome, beautifully presented. Everyone should follow his videos. I follow Praveen Mohan's. Somebody has written, I follow Praveen Mohan's videos. He gives a good analysis of every topic.
Absolutely.
Then somebody is telling, wow, work is worship, global currency. And then somewhere it is interesting points, amazing. United we stand, divided we fall. Unity is strength, education with unity. These knots give that as well. Then this is representation that education can be strengthened when collectively jointed with wellness skills and ancient values in holistic manner in our education ecosystem. It is quite knowledgeable. Then somebody has written, education is the foundation of human development. Somebody is
Yes.
telling, good morning, Dr. Priya ma'am. And
Good morning.
then somebody has mentioned happy
you.
Handloom Day as well of India.
Happy Handloom Day. Happy Handloom Day.
Somebody has mentioned without teachers, our learning process cannot be completed. And what a beautiful way Praveen Mohanji has as a informal teacher presented to us.
Yes.
And good evening, good morning, and everybody, hearty welcome from northeast part of India. The whole group is joining.
It's lovely.
And
Blowing kisses to our northeast
yeah,
part of India and sending
yes,
hearts of love to them.
yes,
And
yes.
so appreciate having you with us. And
Thank you, ma'am.
wonderful, wonderful, Gulshanji. Just such a beautiful thing. And Praveen Mohanji, imagine the trouble he has taken to study these in 50 different
Yes.
temples over the years. And he has decoded which ones are the knots and which ones came after we were confused and we were invaded and we were, our mind was not working and we didn't. And look at the teachers, the architects were teachers. They were not just builders of temples. They were teaching us, these are the ways that we move these rocks to build this temple. These are the knots that we use to tie the rope around the rocks. And these are the knots. And these knots have been taken into the Boy Scouts movement, but no credit has been given to India.
Practical education. Practical education.
Practical, most valuable, most useful, and most full of ingenious, not ingenious, but ingenious and absolute ingenuity. And so this is what I think we should get credit for in the creation of that global currency. What has India contributed? Everything from the first ship, the first stringed instrument, the first knots, the first, I don't know, there are so many things. If we put first, there are so many. Cotton was created in India. Alexander the Great came to India to learn the secret recipe of cotton. That's why he came to India, was to learn. I mean, they probably had animal skins most of the time. So to learn how to make a fabric, how to make an actual piece of cloth on Handloom Day today, I want to talk about the invention of cotton in India, and how Alexander the Great came to India to collect that recipe, how to make the fabric of cotton. So, there is so much of ingenuity and so much of creativity, so much of beautiful things that have been done. And if you put the net value of all these creations to the world over hundreds, 200s, how many ever years that they've existed, then you have a contribution to all of humanity and culture and civilization that is unmatched in this world. And it's exponentially more than any other, I would say, until just maybe the last few years. And so even then, if you have a missile, what is the value of that? In a peaceful society, a missile has limited value. Gunpowder has limited value. So the question is, who's the one that is going to take the initiative to create the peace? The only way you create the peace is to make the basis of wealth something that cannot be looted. This was an epiphany I had a few weeks ago. And I don't know if people act on this, but if they do, then we have a chance for world peace. And if they don't, this arms race, 92 countries in conflict, 600 million, 70 million children out of 1 billion not learning enough to be able to collect the correct change at the store or write a paragraph about themselves. Such unbelievable, atrocious educational gaps will not exist if there was world peace. There will be prosperity and abundance in every way.
Wonderful thoughts. Wonderful thoughts. Before we close the session today, because today we are starting, it's a wonderful, because 75 years celebrations of India, and we have got a week-long festival.
Heartiest congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am. Week-long festival we have got. Every day, every evening, we will have one of the non-resident Indians joining us at 8 p.m. And ladies and gentlemen, 15th, we will be concluding this particular program, having started today. Every evening, 8 o'clock, you all join us. And in between, Dr. Priya ma'am, we would take the journey forward with you. Dr. Chitra Kapoor will get in touch with you. She will work out the strategy as a part of 75-year celebration. What best can be done as a value addition from your side. And
Wonderful, sir.
she's writing over here, Vishwa Guru Bharat is the dream which we all have got. She has written over here. So I just thought that I should
Namaste,
mention.
Chitra ji. I
Yeah.
love it. I love
Somebody
it.
else has mentioned.
Vishwaguru Bharat. I love it.
Somebody has mentioned green evening to everyone, greetings, and then excellent, knowledgeable platform. And what a mind-blowing session today with the video. And somebody is writing over here, is Dr. Priya in touch with Praveen Mohanji? Is he based
I would love
abroad
to.
or in India? Is
He's
he in
from
India?
US.
He's from
No,
US.
I think he travels a lot in India. He has
Okay.
been to almost every temple, all small temples. Every detail that he points out is just mind-boggling.
Somebody is writing over here
Yeah.
that request Dr. Priya ma'am, if she's in touch with Praveen Mohanji, they can come together for one of the sessions.
Oh, how lovely.
oh,
I would fall at his feet and touch
yes.
his feet and
Yeah,
take
you
his
should.
blessings. He's younger than me, but he's like a guru to me. I think
yeah,
it's
thank you.
wonderful. Yeah,
Try and
absolutely,
find out, ma'am.
Gulshanji.
Try
I
and
will find out.
ma'am.
Yes, I will
And
find out.
finally,
I would
somebody
love
is
to.
writing.
Thank you.
Finally, somebody is writing Jai Hind.
Jai
Because that
Hind.
is the way. And
Jai Hind.
we will start the program today. So ladies and
Wonderful.
gentlemen, India celebrating 75 years of independence. And today, Dr. Priya Viveshwaranji giving us such a valuable input and education. She has given you the complete scope that how the treasure of India's ancient values, education in any form, and that gives the technology also, that gives the technical inputs also, that gives the art also, that gives the architecture also, that gives the faith also, that gives the devotion also, and the real life information also. With that,
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Our deepest gratitudes and thanks to you for having joined us today. Wishing you a wonderful and a blessed day ahead, and look forward meeting you soon. Dr. Chitra will get in touch with you.